The last one is from the Creative Review. It's about how brands found their voices during the pandemic and what comes next. In the previous episode, we talked about how companies used COVID to make more innovative business models and websites. So you can check that out on Anchor or YouTube. It's probably the best spot. But anyways, getting back to this one, I'll kind of just read the intro as I do. We'll react to it and also just kind of add a little bit of color for what we think as well. But coronavirus has put a tone of voice at the top of the agenda, and it's changing the way brands approach their communications as a whole. For a long time, tone of voice was like dishwasher salt. Everyone knew it was important, but no one really knew why, and they certainly didn't want to spend money on it. We're announcing a brand refresh. Agencies would talk enthusiastically about the new tone of voice. All too often, it was just talk. The voice amounted to a few words, human, engaging, down to earth, buried on page 347 of the brand book. After a bit about web-safe fonts, that was it. There was no guidance about what this actually meant outside of a campaign, no deeper plan for how a brand could communicate in a compelling and distinctive way. Yeah, tell me more. What are your thoughts on this? Do any brands come to mind?
So, I mean, a lot of the food type brands I've seen in the UK in particular are focused all around family and sort of like the family moments of lockdown. So you see like Heinz, and who obviously they have a variety of things. A lot of picturing people and families, and so just being cognizant of that. I think those stuff you have to be really careful as a brand doing that, because sometimes that comes across as maybe you're being cynical or you're using the pandemic, but then some people resonate with that kind of imagery, almost like we're in it together type stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. No, sorry. Another thing that comes to mind is like a lot of soap brands were like just giving almost like public information in their ads, and on one side you think actually it's very noble of them, but then on the other side someone like, yeah, but you are just talking, just like selling products here. So again, it's part of my rebellious nature is to question the genuineness. Yeah, but then everyone's got to make money, right? So can you hate on these brands for doing this?
Is there any examples that you can think of that did a poor job? Like, is there anything that comes across for you that there's got to be plenty of people.
Not off the top of mind. I think people are quite sensitive. I think companies are quite sensitive to what's going on. I saw some companies like from Asia who were treating the virus as a joke and doing viral videos where they're playing on stereotypes of someone from an Asian background, like deliberately coughing to get like everyone in the Starbucks to clear so they can get to the front of the queue. And in the beginning, with all the memes that were going around, seemed funny, but then you realise that that's actually perpetuating a really horrible stereotype. So I think from that point of view, that was quite. You say maybe they're just playing on it, but then a year later, with like that community suffered horrendously across the world from prejudice. Yeah. Was that really a wise thing to do? Was that is that something that you can really joke about?
There's definitely like a ton of brands that hold on, let me see if I can find any other ones that were there was another one that jumped out at me. Let me see here. Yeah, there was an article that I remember reading from Forbes about, what was it called? Oh, here it is. The Good and Bad of COVID-19 Ads in the New Heartland. It kind of just talks about like different companies and what they did. So there was one that a lot of this is similar to what we did last time. Like KFC did like a Sunday dinner. So a survey by Morning Consult revealed that customers didn't want advertisers to keep beating the new normal, like that most overused term ever, the new normal. Whether it's news or companies, everyone kept saying that in every commercial or ad into their heads. Instead, 44% of people wanted to know how brands are adjusting their services as a result of widespread restrictions. So this is also like interesting. Is like the ultimate way to show that your brand cares is by rather than advertising, this gets back to like what we've talked about before, advertising the benefits. So if there's an industry that got absolutely, decimated during this, was hospitality. So now every hotel is basically highlighting the cleaning company that they're partnering with, all of the measures they take to protect their guests. Those are the new benefits, and I think that's going to continue. Airbnb does the same thing. They have like a deep clean fee that they charge now, which is kind of bullshit that they push that back on the customer when that should just be standard. But the bottom line is that I think this is an interesting take, right? Where like people are tired of hearing the same thing. So an opportunity here is to reassure people that your company, your brand is doing the right things to make them feel more comfortable in the situation. There was another one, Hotels.com. There was one that said since 2013, a lot of
you have to be
ads for
you have to be careful.
Captain
You have to be
Obvious.
careful not to be cynical with people.